Sell-in may go away just so you can come back for Rectember just in time to get another red month, which historically has always been very, very bearish for crypto, not only for Ethereum, but also for Bitcoin. Anyways, we have October ahead of us. October, everyone is now looking forward. We just have to pull through Rectember, and then Q4, the most bullish quarter that we usually have historically, is around the corner. At least that is what people are now anticipating. And obviously past price performance does not indicate future price behavior, but considering that the rate cuts are upon us, September 18, we're literally 10 days away as I'm recording this video. And that could potentially also cause an economic relief, because we also see TradFi getting fully wrecked. The first week of September, we have seen the US stock market collapsing by $1.78 trillion that was wiped out just in the first week of Rectember. We also saw Bitcoin dropping below $53,000, which after making new all-time highs for Bitcoin is probably also very, very healthy. On the other hand, we do have Ethereum making a yearly low actually, and being 5% down year to date, dropping also below $2,200. And obviously the question everyone has on their mind right now is, why are we going down? How long do we continue to go down? And where is the bottom? Because the bottom does not seem to be found. I also see people literally capitulating, being not only extremely frustrated and calling death upon especially altcoins and especially certain ecosystems, but this is exactly where the market wants you to be. This is exactly where the market wants you to be, in this state of almost desperation, where you don't see a way out. And the only emotions you probably have is fear, frustration, you're scared, you're uncertain about what to do, and you're also thinking about potentially just selling everything and calling it a day with crypto. But the truth is, which is something you probably do not want to hear, you can't hear it anymore, because also we've been saying this now for a year and a half, is that now is the worst time to get shaken out. Now is the worst time to paper, hand, and sell your bags and leave crypto for good. But besides TradFi collapsing, crypto itself going down, we also see now other reasons why this time it's different, why you should leave crypto for good. ETF outflows of outflows, nothing is coming in, 169 million in outflows. And we've seen outflows pretty much since August 27. That's 2 weeks of outflows. And we're talking over $1 billion in outflows for the Bitcoin spot ETF alone. When we look at Ethereum, it does not look better. In fact, it looks a lot worse. Since August 15, we only had one single day of inflows, one single day of 5.8 million in inflows. The rest has been outflows, outflows, outflows. Last week alone, almost 100 million here, 47.4 on September 3rd, 37.5 September 4th, 6 million on September 6th. And this is also obviously causing the price to go down further and more fear and more frustration on the markets. But if we look at Grayscale, which is the biggest seller here, obviously they have already sold off $2.67 billion. We talked about it a lot. This is because Grayscale converted their $7 or $8 billion trust when the ETF for Ethereum got approved, which meant this then allowed for those investors to basically sell off their positions, which they accumulated and acquired during the bear market, the actual bear market also for Ethereum, at huge spot discounts of 30-40%. So they're sitting still, even at those Ethereum prices, at multiple X's in the greens, which is why they're just selling that off. Once this selling is drying out, because at one point they are running out of powder, that means that the flows will turn green again, right? Because you see all the other providers are hundreds of millions of dollars in the greens. BlackRock itself over $1 billion in the greens in inflows, because they had nothing in there, right? They started from scratch. So the only direction they could have was inflows. Looking at the election forecast, we see Trump still slightly ahead of Kamala Harris, 51 to 48%. And it's going to be, I guess, a very tight race, but we are only 58 days away from the election. So the time is ticking. And I believe that as we get closer, we're going to see more and more, not just words, but potentially also actions. And next week is also the first debate between Trump and Harris. I think it's on CNN. So I think the election race and campaigning is going to ramp up massively over the coming weeks, and crypto is definitely also going to be one topic on that. Switching gears to the Cosmos ecosystem, the interchain, you already see it, Atom below $4. There is aggressive selling going on right now. We talked about weeks ago how there was this huge undelegation in total over 12 million atoms that were undelegated, and a vast majority of that has been sold off over the past days, which also contributed to the bleeding of the atom price and also caused Atom to lose ranks. Now 56th on CoinGecko. We're actually going to look into those undelegations, and I'll also share the wallet addresses for you to keep track of. Anyways, talking about positive news in the interchain, right? We talk a lot about the Celestias, the Sane networks, Injective, Barachain, Babylon, all these big Cosmos chains, Saga, we talk a lot about them as well. One of the probably unknown projects in Cosmos, even though you definitely know about them if you've been subscribed to Cryptocito for a while now, and if you've been in Cosmos and even Cosmos Dubai, they've been here as well, is Toki. Toki and Data Chain, they have very close ties to each other. And Toki just announced Project Pax in collaboration with Pragmat, and that will bring cross-border stablecoin transfers to the Japanese banking system, built on Cosmos IBC technology. There is a full-on blog post on what Pragmat is, what Toki is, the launch plan and game plan for this collaboration. They're targeting commercial launch in 2025, so within a year and a half. And this is going to bring IBC also to the enterprise world and also merge it with TradFi, which is very, very interesting. And I think this is very bullish for IBC, which then also means very bullish for the app chain thesis, for sovereignty, for the idea of the Internet of Blockchains and interoperability, which is eventually what Cosmos is all about, right? And I keep saying this, a lot of people are conflicting Cosmos with Atom and Atom only. Atom is one single competitive layer 1 blockchain in the grand Internet of Blockchains, which is the Cosmos or the Interchain, which is, I think, now what people probably are more resonating with, the term Interchain over Cosmos, even though it's kind of the same thing, but Interchain is just the broader term that means all IBC connected chains, right? And some of which are probably not even built on the Cosmos SDK blockchain or the Cosmos framework. But IBC is also at a point now where it's just getting rolled out and being integrated left and right also in Enterprise and TradFi, which is very, very interesting. And the Toki team itself, also big OGs in Cosmos, contributing to IBC since 2020, based out of Japan. I think they also have part of the team here in Dubai, and they will also be at Cosmoverse later next month. Now, we already talked about it. Atom losing rankings, rank 56 now, $3.72 as I'm recording this video. Trading volume in the past 24 hours, $137 million, which, to be honest, I think speaks for Atom, the fact that it's so liquid and has such decent volumes, and the fact that it's also accessible and listed on every major exchange, every pair that's out there. Kraken, Coinbase, Binance, Bybit, OKX, Perps on Coinbase as well, recently added just a few weeks ago. That speaks for Atom as an asset, high volume, high liquidity. On the other hand, we talked about the product roadmap in the last video. I think the big problem that Cosmos Hub and Atom have is basically the brand identity, the positioning, the leadership, which is a double-edged sword, because at one hand, it's actually cool to not have one core team, single organization, or an individual that dictates the roadmap for the Cosmos Hub. On the other hand, the fact that it does not have a leader means the community and core organizations kind of have to coordinate themselves. And so far, this has not really worked out. If you think about the relationships and collaboration between Informal Systems, which is basically the product team, the Atom Accelerator, which is basically a decentralized grants program, the Interchain Foundation, which is one of the largest stakeholders of Atom and also has a team that is contributing to Atom, validators like Crypto Crew, and so on and so forth. I think what lacks really is a shared vision that all these teams are rallying behind, and each of them knows their position and contributes their part to make Atom great again. We had these hats last year. Sunny brought them, MAGA hats, A standing for Atom, obviously, at Cosmoverse. And I think there is a lot of ideas floating around. It's not like nothing is happening there, but so far it could not materialize into a shared vision that all of these people, including consumer chains like Neutron and Stride, are rallying behind. So this is an ongoing struggle, and that's why Atom is currently this problem child in Cosmos. This, paired with the fact that we've seen major undelegations, we talked about it weeks ago when the undelegations occurred, and we have a couple of addresses. I'm also going to leave it below this video so you can conduct your own due diligence if you want to follow this behavior. But basically, there are 3 addresses. This one here sent 6 million Atom, and those are all, by the way, OG addresses that have been around since Genesis pretty much. You can see it here if you scroll back. This was created in March of 2019 when the Cosmos Hub launched. So those are OG whale addresses. And this address here had 6 million atom that was sent to this address here. You can follow that all on mintscan.io. To this address, which was then further sent to another address, which we can also click on here. And this address here, which you can see currently holds only 217,000 atoms and has transactions occurring literally every couple of minutes, which looks and quacks like a centralized exchange address. And if you copy that address and also click here on coincarb.com, you can actually find here on the atom rich list that this address is listed as the 17th largest address and apparently a Bitfinex account holding 2.2 million atoms. But as we can see, this is already down to now only 217,000 atoms. So a lot of the millions and millions of atoms have most likely been sold off already through Bitfinex. And there's also another address, this one here, 964 in the end, which also received millions of atoms. This atom was also the delegator for SG1. And you can also filter here by event types, choose send and receive, and also undelegate. And you can see around a month ago, this address undelegated millions of atoms. And this is now fully liquid and has actually also been sent away. You can see, for example, this 1.5 million atoms. Where did this go to? This went to this address, which then further went to another address, which is, surprise, surprise, the same address that we just looked at. So that's also a Bitfinex address. And yeah, this is all probably the same guy, number one, and number two, already being sold off on Bitfinex. Then there's another address that still holds $4.3 million in atom. And by the way, think about 2 years ago, this was actually 10x of that. This was $45 million. And the other address that had 6 million atom at $30, $40, that was $300 million, which this address held throughout the bull market and is now selling at 91% less than the all-time high. This address also sent 3 million atoms recently to the same address that we just looked at, which is also the Bitfinex address, and still holds, however, $4 million, 1.174 million atoms. And Luganodes is also an OG validator that is now jailed for some reason. I haven't looked into it, but Luganodes is still one of the largest proof-of-stake validators and infrastructure providers out there, with, I think, $3 billion in assets under management or delegations, also strong corporate network. So while I believe that this is probably all the same guy, same person, it obviously has to be some whale, maybe even an organization from the early days that has those large amounts of atom. Means, number one, we have lost a whale. Number two, that a lot of the selling has already been done, most likely, which also threw the atom price below $4. But at the same time, I don't think there's a lot of coins that can actually survive that. Because to be honest, we're talking about 10-11% of the circulating atom supply that was now or is being sold off on the market. And it is not entirely collapsing the price, right? But this is certainly one of the main reasons why Atom has severely underperformed and has actually been the worst weekly performer on the top 100 on CoinGecko. If you go here, filter by weekly, Atom down 17.5% on the weekly. And the big question is now, is the selling over? Is there also now other OGs, other whales, organizations, institutions, validators that are getting cold feet, that are inspired by this and are also going to sell off their positions? And the answer is so far not really, at least not massive amounts. We saw this major drop here on August 15, 16. This was this huge undelegation that happened and also sent the bonded ratio below 60%. But since then, in recent days, we have crawled back up above 60% when it comes to bonded ratio for Atom. And it hasn't caused any contagion yet, at least as of right now. But looking at the chart, it looks really, really terrible. Atom has been at around $13, $14 just 6 months ago and is now below $4, which is alarming. I think also at the same time, you see now a lot of community members, OG investors stepping up, coming up with ideas, contributing more, and trying to also implement this shared vision that I talked about earlier. But yeah, the market cap of Atom was also above $5 billion back in March, April, and is now at $1.5 billion. So definitely not good to look at. And if we look at Smart Stake, we can see that there's more undelegations happening. Obviously not anymore to the scale that we saw last weeks. We had, I think in total 19 or 18 million of atoms being undelegated. Now we have 5.3 in total undelegations that are currently pending, 800,000 alone coming from Coinbase. But also it is important to point out here that Coinbase currently has 3 validators, one of them being completely new. So I don't know what that means, but this new validator is also getting a lot of delegations. So I don't know what that exactly means, but just maybe something to point out here, which means potentially that these 800K atoms are not getting sold. Sika, however, is something that just came in, 443,000 pending undelegations. And if you're looking at what is going on here, this is the address from the undelegator, which was just done literally 2 hours ago as I'm recording this video. And this is around 1 million in atoms that this address has undelegated from Block Tower, Multichain, and Sika. Also an OG address. Sika is the validator by Sunny. I don't think it's Sunny, obviously, who is doing that, but some OG investor as well. And this seems to be also getting sold off. That's another $3.5 million in atom that will be liquid in 3 weeks, in 21 days. So that is 1 million atoms alone almost that is being unstaked right now. And yeah, from multiple validators, which is why you don't see it. And overall, there's just a lot of reshuffling going on as well, right? If you look at here, VP change in the 7 days, Kalpatek by Adriana, who works at the All in Bits, previously Tenormint, the company of Jake Wan, has lost 550,000 delegations. This is a redelegation that occurred from Kalpatek to Informal Systems by Dokia validator. And Dokia is also an absolute OG validator that is also sitting on, I think, around 10, 11 million atoms, not dollars, atoms, and also just delegated across multiple validators. Obviously, we don't know if there are going to be more whales that will unstake and sell, but to be honest, I don't think right now is a smart timing to do that, considering the product development, considering Forge, Hydro, more consumer chains are lined up and around the corner. But nonetheless, all these OG investors are still sitting on 30, 40x of their investment. The Atom ICO was at 10 cents. You can actually also see here the fundraiser allocations, each address, the top 1,000 addresses here that participated in the Atom fundraiser. And they're all sitting, they all bought at 10 cents. So $3.70 is still a 37x for them after 6 years or 7 years. I think the fundraiser was in 2017. Mainnet was in 2019. Now we are at 2024. So yeah, 7 years. But anyways, this is all about that. Keep an eye on SmartStake. Big shout out to them also for building this tool, which is where you can track pending undelegations. That's the thing you have to add here. On this bar, you can choose all the things that you want to be shown here. And yeah, check that out. At the same time, obviously, we're also seeing traction and more inflows coming in here. Coinbase custody, overall 1.2 million in vote power, basically atoms that were delegated to them over the past 30 days. Upbit as well, Korean exchange, very, very strong, 1.2 million. Curse 700K, Cosmos Station. You can really track here the biggest delegations that were done. Also, Cryptocito, we are up 60,000 in atoms that were staked to our node in the past 30 days, which also is basically the balance between delegations and undelegations. So we are net positive here. And really the largest outflows were seen from ZK Validator and SG1. Those are the two that I talked about. And those were mostly sold off. But now is the question, is there going to be a contagion or was that the worst? And I'll forward that question to you. Let me know. What do you think? What is your own strategy? I also believe, to be honest, that probably for not like, if we're not talking about like millions of atoms, I think it also makes kind of more sense to just liquid stake and sell right away. If your game plan is to kind of sell, because then you don't have to wait 3 weeks, which means in those 3 weeks, if you're very bearish on Atom, like 3 weeks basically means you believe that in 3 weeks, the price would probably be lower than it is today. So I don't know why these people are not using at least partially liquid staking module to liquefy their staked atoms right away without having to wait. But anyways, that's on the side. Let me know what you think about this topic. Also, if you know some of these addresses, because I saw also some people saying that, yeah, this is Jay Kwan's wallet, this is AIB's wallet, all in bits, which I don't know if that's true, obviously, but yeah, would be interesting probably to also know the thesis, like why these people are selling those millions of atoms. And those have to be very, very early, big investors that have such large amounts of atom in their wallets. Anyways, that's all for today. I still hope you are not giving in. Like I said in the beginning, everything is going to be fine. And I keep saying this week over week over week, even though you don't want to hear it and you probably want to unsubscribe from this channel because I'm too positive for you. But this is what you need to hear, right? Yes, there are a million reasons to be bearish right now, but yeah, I don't think right now is a smart time to just give up, sell your bags, and call it a day. This is just the worst thing you can do. Anyways, that's all. I'll see you guys very soon. Enjoy your Sunday. Go to the gym. I'll see you soon. Until then, stay safe and be good.